Instagram. And it has definitely been a while, and I'm very happy to be back. Since the last video, Tristan did move to Colorado, and so it happened very quickly. He found a job, found an apartment, moved cross country. For him, it couldn't happen soon enough, but for me, it happened very fast, and it was definitely an adjustment. I'm so grateful for everyone that has reached out, and I have so many messages and emails to get back to people, and for that I truly apologize. I tend to kind of shrink away from everything and just get the basic necessities done when I'm trying to process a big life change like this. So of course I'm so proud of Tristan, and I'm so happy for him, and you know, it was just a big change for me. So we are getting back to normal. He's doing really well. I have been stitching every day. I just, you know, things like making a video, I'm just trying to make sure everybody's fed and has clean clothes, and that's about the limit of what I've been able to do. So I wanted to show you first what I've been working on, and I do have the giveaway winners from the last video, which I apologize that it's been so long. And I have been kind of looking at what I did the past year and what I want to do going into next year, and doing some organizing too, which organizing along with stitching always seems to kind of soothe me. So I will get started with what I have been working on. So I have stitched every day, which goes to show how comforting that is for me. And in no particular order, I will start with the one that we see every video. Sorry, Kitty's around. She's been, Kitty the dog, for some, oh, she's got a squeaky toy. Okay, great. So I did get caught up on my modern folk embroidery. So we're still in November, and I have, this is the October section, so I just have November and December left. So I'm officially on schedule. I know that it's not a race or anything, but I do feel good being caught up, and I have a few more weeks to finish the November section, and then we'll have December and it'll be done. And I love this one. I don't know what I'm going to do though, because the boys both really want this one. So I debated about the 2022 stitch along that Jacob's doing, and that's one of the things I'll either talk about in this video or the next one. I think I'm not going to do the 2022 stitch along. It is a mystery. It is a huge time investment. I think this one was about 33,000 stitches altogether. And I think he mentioned that the coming year's one will be about the same. So I think with it being a mystery, I have so many beautiful things to stitch anyway that I'll just wait and maybe see if that's something that I want to do later on. So the other thing that I worked on was, I just realized I don't think I have most of these charts with me, but it's okay. This is the best I can do for right now. I did work on, this is from Avlea. This is the Armenian Ramshorn chart, and this is the halfway point. So it's just 3 colors of DMC. It's on the 30 counts Mikini cloth, which is basically like a cotton even weave from Greece that she sells on her website. So I'm super excited about this. So this will be just double in length when it's done. And like I mentioned, I did do some organizing. So for this one, so I think ever since my first video mentioned how I like these produce bags, and I used to be able to get them at the grocery store, the eco bags, and I found them online. I'll put the website in the description box, from a company called the Package Free Shop, I think is what it's called. They're in New York. They have a brick and mortar store in New York. I think several actually. And I was able to get more. They're between like $2 and $3 a piece when you buy them in multi-packs. So this is the smaller size, which is really good for like a half sheet size chart. And then I followed Lori Holt's design board tutorial, and I made a little board because this only has the 3 colors of DMC. So for a project like this, I tend to just leave it on the skeins, because even if the tags fall off, I can still clearly tell what the colors are. So I followed her tutorial pretty much exactly. Now the cat's on the other side of the camera. Instead of using matte or foam core, which I didn't have on hand, I had matte board that was here. I think it was my mom's, and it was tan on one side and white on the other. So I just covered it with white felt instead of the batting, because I had felt left over from another project. And I followed her directions to cover the edge, but I did no sewing in this at all. I did, in her tutorial, she does a zigzag stitch after you fold and iron the edges. I just folded it, and then I used tacky glue to do all of it. And then I just glued, this was still that same bag of felt or wool that I've been using all year. I just glued that in just at the edge, and underneath the binding on this side, I just glued, this is just a piece of like cotton muslin, just so that I could like cover it up, and when it goes in the bag, everything doesn't fall off. So that was one little project I did that was fun. I intended to do more of them, but I did the one. The other thing I did was, on these bags, they come with a label that has, it actually has the tear weight, so when you buy things in bulk, they can ring it up, minus the weight of the bag. But I printed out a picture of the charts, and I just glued it to a piece of chipboard, and then I glued that to the label that's already sewn on there, so I know what's in each bag, because they're all the same, which I actually really like the fact that they're all the same, and they're simple, but it's easy for me to identify what's in the bag. So that is Tristan's Avlea piece. I'm just going to put it back in here so it's easier to clean up when I'm all done. And then I started during Mania with Amanda from Alva Stitcher, Felice Navidad from Blackbird Designs. And this one I actually do have the chart here with me. So probably one that you've all seen. It is, I think it was from 2017. It's number 2 in the Christmas Sampler series. And this was actually the first Blackbird chart that I had ever purchased. And I really liked this Christmas one in particular because when we were growing up, every year on Christmas Eve, we would watch Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. I mean, until like I was in college. Like, I'm pretty sure my mom probably still has the VHS tape somewhere. So that was for, I don't know how it started, but that was our Christmas tradition. No matter how old we were, we watched Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. And Felice Navidad was one of the songs in that that Sesame Street special, and I've always loved that Christmas song. But we had a very wholesome, sheltered childhood. I was watching Sesame Street in college, but it was really fun. I mean, it was, I'm sure, I would assume it's probably online somewhere. I should probably look it up and see. So this one is 30 count, Picture This Plus Legacy. Legacy is the called for fabric, but they call for 36 count. So in May, I just did like the corner, and I think I had the top line done and a little bit of the second line. And when I was looking at my projects or my works in progress that I have going into 2022, this was one of them that I thought, I haven't touched it since May. I really think I can finish it before the end of the year. I would really like to have it up for the holidays. And I like the colors. When I was first working on it, it was really painful to me to be switching colors for every letter. And so what I did was I started working down, all the way down to the leaves. And then when I was in the mood to switch colors, I would do a row of letters or a few letters. And when I was in the mood to just not have to do that, I would do one of the border rows. This one, I keep getting baked apple and cranberry ice confused. So I started it in the wrong color and I just left it. It's fine. Everything's multicolored anyway. So I'm using, I had talked about when I had started this, I ordered the fibers from 123 Stitch, and since I primarily use DMC, I thought, okay, I'll order the whatever Weeks Dye Works they had in stock, I ordered, and then I used DMC for the rest. So far, and there's still a lot more to do, but Bullfrog, I'm using my phone today. I don't have Roman's good camera, but that's, I mean, if I were to do it again, I mean, that's the only color that really has variegation or enough stitching that you see the beauty of the over dye. I think the rest of it is, you know, it's such a small length of thread that if I did it again, I would probably just do it all in DMC. But I'm really pleased with this. I'm having fun with it again. And I really want to go into 2022 with things finished that I feel, you know, compelled to finish this year. Like Tristan's Avlea piece is another one of those. And with this one, I'm storing everything. I had showed this, I think I got this in April. I was lucky enough to get one of these, one of Barry's Stitch Folk pieces. That's so gorgeous. And so I'm using it probably a little bit differently than in, well, I guess this is, I mean, I'm not storing like scissors or anything in it, but these are all the colors. So these are the weeks that 123 Stitch had in stock when I was ordering at the time. And then the DMC are just folded in half on this side. And then what I've been doing, I know this is supposed to be for your needles, but I've been putting the little pieces in this little felt book. So that's how I've been storing the threads for this project. So this was one of my, I think, all-time favorite purchases from Barry. So it's the only Stitch Folk piece I have, but I'm really grateful that I have it. So that is Felice Navidad. And then I did start, well, technically I have two things I started, but one I'm doing with my friend Eileen, and we've been working on it at her house, and maybe I'll show you the threads for it, but I think I'm gonna wait until I'm done to show you what we're doing. So I had mentioned that I wanted to start Dutch Beauty, and my brother has it and Eileen has it, and again, it was one of those, it's like going to a stitching shop and seeing the models, because when I saw Eileen's, she has a really good start on it. It's just so beautiful in real life, and it was one that I had always been interested in. I love that it's from the 1700s. I think it has like 68 creatures, they call it. And you know, some of them are just so unique and different. And so I did finish one page, and this was one that I started and I just really couldn't put it down. When people say, you know, enjoy every stitch, or this is one that, you know, every stitch I enjoy, this is how I feel about this one. So this is the page finish, and it looks a little bit washed out on the video, but the colors, I went with the DMC colors that are charted, and they are a little bit more I guess subdued. There's a lot of different shades of tan and brown and things that are really close to the fabric color, but it works well. And I don't even know that they have a called for fabric color. This is 40 count Tycho. And this is one where I ordered it from Floss and Fabrics on Etsy. And, you know, I really had no idea if it was going to work without seeing it in person. And I think this is one of my absolute favorite fabrics. It just has the slightest bit of modeling, and it has almost like a greenish gray cast to it, but I just love it. And I think part of the reason that I really love it, Eileen had generously given me NPI silks. That's what it was. It was NPI. So she had shared her NPI silks for the project that we're working on. And so when I was choosing the items for Dutch Beauty, I considered NPI because stitching with that for the first time was very, very lovely. Definitely, you know, a big difference in price between the MPI and the DMC. And then I thought, wait, I had always wanted to try the Vicky Clayton hand-dyed silks. And she has the DMC, basically most of the DMC colors she has now on her website. So I ordered one of each color because I wanted to try them. I mean, obviously I don't have enough to finish the project. And if the dye lots are different, it's totally fine. It's a huge sampler. Nothing about that is going to bother me. And Eileen had given me this awesome zippered pouch. I mean, seriously, she just spoils me. And so I ordered the Vicky Clayton silks, and there's only, so in this huge sampler, there's actually only 13 colors. And what I did was, they come in these spools, that you've probably seen before. They're very lovely. I wrote the DMC color because she obviously has her own names for them. And then just to save like every little piece, I put them in a bag with the symbol and the DMC number in there. And I can't say enough about how much I enjoy working with this silk. It's what I've noticed. I've tried Gloriana and MPI, and they are fluffier silks. These are very shiny and not as fluffy. So you unroll it from the spool, it's 6 strands. I don't know how to describe it. I would definitely say it's worth getting a spool or two to try, because I think that's what is making this just so hard to put down, is working with these particular silks. So like I said, I definitely don't have enough to finish the project. I just wanted to try them before I did that, and I absolutely love them. So again, it really doesn't, in real life it's so shiny, and it's definitely not as washed out as it is in the picture. But there are some blues in this piece that are really beautiful. So you know, I like having my blues in there. So that one I'm very, very excited with. And then as I was going through things from last year, this technically I think would have been from, yeah, it was from 2020. And I didn't take this out of the plastic ahead of time, but I had, I think, subconsciously forgotten, or on purpose forgotten, about this beautiful chart. This was what I was working on. This is Lila Studio SL 1862 small sampler. So this is a part of a large sampler. And this is what I was working on when I got the call that I needed to go to the hospital because my husband had a very, very, very bad mountain biking accident. So it was one of the first pieces that I was stitching on linen. And at the time, I was deciding if I preferred a hoop or stitching in hand. I definitely prefer stitching in hand now, but I had decided that I was just going to grab a whole bunch of colors and randomly pull from the colors as I worked, which now I find to be a little bit, well, it slows me down, you know, like I'd rather just decide on the colors and then stitch them. So this is how far I got. And somehow it got tucked away, never to be thought of again. And I think there was a reason for that, because that was not a super great time in our lives. But we made it through, and I think the only reason that I'm not going, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this is the middle section. It is complete, minus the fact that in the full chart, her initials and date would be here. But I'm going to make this a stopping point. One, I think this is the end of a, I don't know, of a certain time in our lives, and I'm kind of done with that. This is what I would lug to the hospital with me, where I would stay till 11 o'clock at night, because even though I wasn't supposed to be there, it was easier for the nurses to have me, you know, help them, because he couldn't even press the button on the call thing, you know, to get help, because he couldn't use either of his hands. So, you know, just having me there to help him eat and feed him and take care of him just made less work, and I was happy to do it. So this was stitched at the hospital, and I just realized I actually kind of like how it's negative space, but I guess I either need to stitch the wings or just leave it like this. But one of the other reasons was this is the old week straw, which I don't have a problem with at all stitching on the old weeks, but my tension is very different now, and it's 2/2 with whatever random color I was pulling from with this. And Bonnie Log Cabin Stitcher had mentioned in one of her recent videos that she was working on a quilt or an applique, I don't remember, and she had put it aside, and now her style or her ability had changed. And so it's hard because it will look different because her skills have improved since she started it. So that's how I kind of feel about this one too. I've gotten my tension down now, and it's not the same. So I still really like this chart a lot. And I think mailman's here, never fails. Mission while Kitty barked at the mailman and the trash truck for 10 minutes. But what I was saying is I still really like this chart, and I think that what I will do is actually map out. I would like to do the bird still in blue instead of green. I love this moth in the corner, and I will stitch it at some point. This is the full original sampler, which I think is really beautiful. And fun fact, Lila actually lives like probably half an hour away from me. So I should probably reach out at some point. When I started back to stitching, I had gotten a lot of her charts and done some as gifts. So that was a fun find. And then the only other thing that I worked on, which is now missing, I don't know if you noticed from back here, was I did finish the penny pumpkin from the Scarlet House, which I also forgot to bring the chart for, but it is stitched on Fox and Rabbit's Eucalyptus. And I did not do the called for colors. I can find them. I actually have them written on the chart if anybody is interested. And then some of these are stitched over one. And then there was one more up here, but I put my initial, it's not really focusing, and a button up there. And then this frame was one that was actually in the house. It was a leftover, and normally I would frame it closer to the edge of the stitching, but this was free, and I really do like gold frames. So I pinned it. That's my preferred way of finishing things, and I left all the extra fabric and everything on the back. So if I want to change it at some point, I can do that. But I figured for a free, beautiful frame that this would work. And I actually finished this really shortly after the last video. So I was happy to have that up. And this chart was a gift from Marilyn, and Sharon and Marilyn and I were stitching this one, and so I'm super grateful for that. I absolutely love it. I love the pennies. I just think it's beautiful. So that's a great fall piece that can be up all the time in fall. You know what I mean? Not all year. Well, it could be, but so that's everything that I stitched on, and I am going to stop and grab some more things, and then I will show you what else I've been working on. So I have not been watching a lot of Flosstube. I have a lot to catch up on, but I did start watching Jean Farish's channel, and I have found tremendous value in the just how freely she gives of her experience and all the different things that she teaches. And there's just a lot of things that maybe were intimidating or things that I thought were more complicated than they actually are that she shows in her videos. So I'm sure you're probably already watching, but one of the things, and I should have taken the time to find the particular video it was in, but, and I may be explaining this incorrectly, but I'm going to explain my takeaway from it. So she was showing a beautiful piece of, it looked like a tablecloth, like something for the home, like a linen, an antique linen, and it had drawn thread work on the ends of it, and it looked very, very complicated, and it was. And she had made the point that, you know, although it may be time consuming, what if that was the only piece of linen that you had to work on for that year? Would you be afraid to do something really time consuming or exquisite? Those are my words, not hers. I mean, that's what I took away from it. And it really made me think, you know, like what is the rush to get through? I mean, sure, like there's things that I want to do that are seasonal. Like I want to make some little Christmas ornaments for Tristan to put in his apartment. But like, what is the rush? You know, what if you only had one, like that's Dutch Beauty? I'm sure I could work on that much like the modern folk embroidery stitch along, probably, you know, 1 page a month, and I still would not be finished with it. And that probably would be a good majority of my stitching time. So for some reason that, you know, that was just like a little moment in one of her videos, but that really stuck out to me. So along with that, I also really, like I said, I really appreciate the time that she spends teaching in her videos. And one of the things that she has, it's an older stitch along, but she has all of the videos on her channel for, this is a terrible printout. I don't know, our toner is like making everything yellow, but it's called Hearts Come Home at Christmas. And I thought the chart was beautiful. It's, I believe, like 113 by 113, something like that. It's small, on the smaller side, it's square. But I thought, you know, as much as I wish I would have the opportunity to take a class with Jean in the near future, it's probably not going to happen at this stage of my life. But someday maybe, you know, anything's possible. But I thought, with this stitch along series that she has on her channel, I would really like to see how somebody that has been designing for 40 years, like step by step, you know, how is she starting this process and what journey does she take, you know, in the chart as she's stitching it. So I purchased the chart from her Etsy site. And this is one of the few things that I have planned to start in the near future. But that was really, you know, so from Jean, you know, one was that thought of like, I don't know, why not take the time to learn something new and cherish what we're stitching on and really enjoy it, and not be so, this is not what she said, but this is what I took away from it, you know, not be in such a hurry to get to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So the other thing that Jean really likes is Cosmo Floss, and I apologize. Somebody a few videos ago had mentioned, she said, try the Cosmo floss. I think you'll really like it. And so I did get the Cosmo. I have there's a few colors that I wasn't able to get. But I got the colors. Again, it's a little bit different color scheme for me with like the pinks, but I thought it would actually probably work really well with the Felice Navidad piece. And then I'm going to stitch it on, I really like Legacy, not Picture This Plus Legacy, the color, which I also like, but Legacy linen, the brand from Access Commodities. This is 30 counts. I think it's Mariner's Map. I could be wrong, but I always put everything down in the description box. I'll put it in there, but it's just a good neutral color. So I'm super excited to start. I'm going to start this with the videos and watch how Jean does it, just because I'm curious. And the other thing, you know how I usually don't put things on floss drops typically, like the Avlea project, it has 3 colors. I just don't take the time to put them on floss drops. But Jean had brought up a good point in regards to floss drops. She said, well, what do you do when, the skein gets less and less and then the tag falls off? And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good point, because this does have a decent amount of colors, and once the little label with the number falls off, I have no idea what these colors are. So I did, and what I did was, this is actually, you can't really tell in the camera, it's very textured. I found when I was cleaning out the attic, along with all the fall decorations, a big pad of watercolor paper that my mom had. And it's going to be great for making cards. But I found that it's also really, really good for floss drops, because it's a nice weight, and when you write in pencil on them, it erases really, really easily because it has a texture and it's watercolor paper. So they're very reusable, and I just cut them into 2x2 squares to make them smaller. And then, so I want to start that one, and I think that for the rest of the year, I'm going to focus on Christmas pieces. Like I said, I'd really like to make some ornaments for Tristan, like take small motifs from charts that I already have. And because again, he's going to be traveling. So right now he's in Steamboat Springs. So if anyone watching lives in the area, let me know. He feels so far away from me. But he'll be there for the season and then probably going to Utah. So, but I figured something that's a flat finish, that's small, that he and his roommates could put on the tree. I know that Tristan would appreciate that. So I think I just want to focus on holiday stitching, which I really actually don't have much of. So it'll be fun to kind of go through and just pick out little motifs. I do have a lot of Priscilla and Chelsea's Stitching with the Housewife ornament charts that I did last year. I did a lot of them for gifts. So I figured that would also be a good place to look and just do them a little bit more rustic for Tristan on more of like earth tone colored fabrics. So that will be a new start. And then as far as organizing, so that kind of whole idea that Jean had talked about, which was not her point, I don't think, but that's what made me start thinking about it. So I went through, and I have been using my the project planner that Chris, it's As the Yo Flies, rhymes with crow. Yo, yes, I always have to think about it. Chris, Yo. She makes I had shown these in my very first video. I had ordered just the inserts last December, and I have used them religiously all year. So I know that the Needlework Press Book of Days is really popular, and I debated about getting that for this year, but I found that this worked really well for me. And what I did was, since I had used them all year, I did go ahead and order one of the covers that she has. I was previously, I had the booklets separate, but they're beautifully made, and you can choose what you would like the little beads to say. So I put Stitching Simply. So I thought I wanted to support Chris, and I enjoyed the actual planner so much. So it has like the project list, and then you can check off, you can put the name in, you check off whether it's a whip, a finish, or an FFO. And so you can keep going through and then checking them off. And then for each one numbered, you can put the actual project, all the pertinent information, and then any notes that you have about it, the flosses you used, the stitch dates, just all the typical things. So she came out also now with, so that reminds me of the planner that Fat Quarter Shop does. I mean, as far lots of people make planners that have all that information. I just really like the aesthetic of hers. And then, the other thing I did when I made the tags for the bags, I printed out a picture on like a label and put those in the book too, so that I would have them. So she also came out with a calendar now, so that you can put in the book too. So this came with new inserts because I would be out shortly. And you can choose which inserts you want. She has ones for cross stitch, ones for quilting. You can choose, like this one is a note, like a general kind of note and inventory. I tend to never write on the first page of a notebook. I don't know if anyone else does that. The rest of it's getting pretty full. So when I looked through the project list, I think I'm around 21 finishes for this year, 2021. And I believe that I had about 12 whips. And 2 of those would be the Modern Folk Embroidery Stitch Along, which in theory should be done by the end of 2021. And then one of them will be ongoing into next year for sure, which is the Crochet to Go-Go Stitch Along that Sarah from SewMeSarah, my sweet friend, is doing. So that will not be done until next July. So that left, I think, like probably 10 or 11 whips from this year. So I know that everyone's, it's all relative. Like, to me, that's a lot. Felice Navidad is included in that number, which I would like to finish before the holidays. And Tristan's Avlea Armenian Ramshorn is included in that, which I'd also like to have done. So that's approximately 10 whips going into the new year. And what I noticed was, from looking at the list and the dates and everything like that, most of those whips are from May. I only started 4 of them, I think, 4 or 5, but that led me to feel like I don't think, starting a bunch of projects in 1 month for me is necessarily what I would do in the future. And most of the other ones, like most of them that I started, are pretty large. So I don't think I'll go into it in this video. I'll do another one, it may be sooner rather than later, about what I still have and where I'm at with it and what I'm going to continue with and changes that I may make. And then the other thing that I did was I made a Google spreadsheet in my drive. I used to use the cross stitch app. I forget what it was called. Like X Stitch or something like that, where you can inventory your charts and everything like that. But for me, like typing on my phone, I just always find difficult. Like if you notice, like if I write something on a Instagram direct message, it's totally different than writing an email. So I made a Google chart that has my whips. I made a chart that has the fabrics I have on hand, the overdyed flosses, because I don't have that many of them, so that was easy to make a list of, and then the charts that I currently own that are in my possession, and then I made one as a tab that's a wish list. So by doing it in Google Docs, I still have it on my phone if I need to access it if I'm out. But for me, that was a better solution as far as keeping track of everything. And although I feel like I don't purchase a lot of charts, with what I've purchased and what has been very kindly gifted to me, I definitely have enough to keep me going for more than the next year. So I'm still planning and trying to figure out. I think what started it was I had mentioned in the last video debating about whip go, and then when I went through, I thought, well, I don't really have that many whips. I think it's more a matter of like planning what I want to do and just doing what I want to do. Like right now, I just really want to work on holiday things, and everything is organized in those bags. I already put them away, but they're actually really nice. I have 2 sizes, the one that I showed you, and then there's a larger one that you can put like a full size chart in and fold in half. But what I did was I put them on pant hangers and just hung them up in Tristan's closet since he's not here. But they're hung up and they have those little labels on them, so I can easily tell what's in there. But still planning for next year. So I'll do a separate video that I'll show you what I have as far as whips and what I'm planning on doing. So that was part of my organizing. And then the other thing that I decided to do, because sometimes you just feel like rearranging all of your DMC late at night, was I realized I often change colors slightly. And my DMC I had always stored in number order, which is really helpful when you're pulling the colors for a chart as charted, but not really helpful if you're trying to pick a new color. So I went on to the DMC website, and you can print from there either the full list of DMC in number order or in color family order. So I printed the color family order one, and then I went through and I rearranged. These are not totally perfect. I found some stragglers that are just tucked inside, but in my cases, I rearranged them in color order. So that was another thing I did to get through the tough times. It's fine. Everything's fine. But I have found that, 1, it's very pretty to look at, and 2, if I need, if I'm just looking for a different, like I want to make the bird's wings blue instead of green for the most part, you know, the blues are all together. So that was super helpful. I always debate about getting the DMC color chart that has the actual fibers wrapped around. And although I think that would be super helpful, I can't pull, you know, the colors look so different when they're next to each other or on the fabric. So I still want to have the ability to take the floss out and lay it down next to other colors. So for me, I thought for the free printing, you know, of the color list, which is the same order that they're in on the color chart, I just did it myself with the DMC that I have. So I think that was all the organizing that I did. But I will say, highly recommend Google, you know, the Google Suite for doing inventory list. And that I was also able to, I separated my PDF charts from my paper charts, and then also made a column that had it indicated if it was something that was fully kitted and ready to stitch or not. So I may even share that document. I mean, obviously you won't be able to edit it, but just so you can see how I set it up and see what I have. Because yeah, I mean, I really have plenty to stitch. I really do. So that was the organizing, I think, section. And I will put these things away, and I will be right back with the giveaway winners and Stitchy kindness. And so I have been completely overwhelmed with Stitchy kindness, and I have everything laid out here, and I almost don't know where to begin. And I feel so undeserving of it and so appreciative of it. And sorry that now the cat's on the table again, distracting me. I didn't want to say it in conjunction with Tristan leaving. I mean, he obviously knows all this, and normally the boys don't watch my videos, but I have suffered my entire life with horribly severe anxiety and depression. And so obviously, you know, Tristan leaving did not cause, I just have been struggling a lot. And not to worry, you know, I have you know, I have a doctor, I go to therapy. I think the only regret I have is that I waited until I was in my late 30s to actually deal with it and do the work that I needed to do in order to have the tools, you know, and the help. And so it's not Tristan leaving, obviously. It's just, you know, it's everything right now. It's been difficult for everybody for the past year and a half. And so when I am struggling a lot, I just kind of stop interacting with the world. And it's hard for me to leave the house. The other day I had to get dressed to take Roman someplace, and my husband came home and said, "Oh, did you make a video?" And I said, "No." And I think just because I had regular clothes on and I looked somewhat presentable, he just assumed that I had made a Flosstube video. So, you know, I don't say that to, you know, it's perfectly normal to need help with your mental health. And the only thing I would say about that is, if you need to, you know, I personally think that everybody could benefit from therapy. And it wasn't something I planned on talking about, but as I'm sitting here looking at all these things and my lack of ability to even communicate with people right now. I feel that I can be honest, you know, with my friends and tell you that. So for everyone that has sent me things, so grateful, and especially on days that were super difficult for me to get something randomly in the mail, even, you know, from across the world, is really touching. So when I watched Sarah's, it wasn't her last video, I haven't watched her last video yet, but she had shown these beautiful card holders that she made, and she said, you know, if anybody wants the dimensions for cutting, let me know. And of course I said, oh, I would love, you know, I would love to make one, which we all know would take me forever because I'm very slow at sewing. And then in the mail came one that she had made, and it was so sweet and so thoughtful. And besides the beautiful card, which Sarah really does have the most beautiful handwriting ever, she made this incredible little folio, and then inside are beautiful cards that I love, that go to a wonderful organization. It's oliverhellowell.com. I'll put it in the notes below. And then you can put your stamps in here, and there's a pen. And I showed it to, I kept showing it to Roman's like, wait, she made that? She made that? And I was like, yes, Roman, she made that. Look, she's good at sewing. Like, I can't. I still want to make that quilt, but you know, I can do it. It just takes me a really long time. So he was super impressed with that. So that was really, really sweet, and I appreciated it so much. And I appreciate Sarah for checking on me. So again, yes, I am okay. I just have lifelong issues that, you know, I deal with, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, or nothing that's, you know, it's not a secret. And I think that stitching is probably, you know, the funny thing is, typically with depression, you know, you lose interest in things that you normally enjoy, which is 100% true for me. Stitching is one thing that I still stitched every day, and sometimes it was a little bit forced, like, Jenny, come on, you know, do something. Like, you can do something, pull it together. And because it's easily accessible and it's always kind of sitting close by, even just stitching a little bit would really make me feel like myself again. So I think that, you know, there's a lot of studies that show that handwork and hand embroidery and cross, you know, all the things that we enjoy doing is very good for mental health. So yes, I absolutely 100% find that to be true in my life. So, I mean, this kind of took a turn, but we'll keep going with the... So Betsy from Betsy Klager, who is absolutely wonderful and hilarious. So she sent me a card and some presents, which, so Roman saw this and said, wait, how did Jordy get on a sticker? And I said, that's not Jordy, honey, that's Hamilton. So Hamilton is Betsy's tuxedo cat, and we have Jordy, our tuxedo cat, but Hamilton seems much more elegant and put together than our cat. And she included her like absolutely amazing floss drops. I haven't punched these yet because I want to use them for a specific project, but that's Betsy. That was done by her friend, the photoshopping, and they're just, I mean, there are no words. It's fantastic. And then she sent the sticker. If you've watched her videos, you'll know. So, and then in these beautiful little pouches, she sent, excuse me, these beautiful floss drops. Oops, sorry. Again, I don't have the good camera, but there's a little crown and the flowers. And the other one I'm already using on the Jean Farish project. And this one says memories. So I thought that was really appropriate for the All Hearts Come Home at Christmas. So that was from Betsy. Oh, and the card with her cat. She has the cutest cat things. And then I don't know how much editing I will be able to do, to be perfectly honest. I think I need to do it on my phone because along with Roman needing his own camera, he also needs his own computer right now, which is where I normally do the editing. But Janet, I had shown the beautiful image of the woodland path that Janet had taken and sent to us. And she actually had her friend chart it for me and sent me the chart in a PDF, which was just so kind. And I have that on my list that I was talking about of charts to do. I mean, it was just unbelievable that, she would take the time to do that. So, and then from Canada, Bertucci sent me a beautiful card, and she sent me silks that she had asked if I wanted to try, and I said absolutely. So one is from Mrs. Sadis, which I have not tried yet, and it's called Copper, and it's this beautiful burgundy, and she so sweetly labeled everything and even has the amounts on there. And the second one is from Almond M&M's, who I love, and I have tried her silks before, just a few colors, and this is one that I've always admired. It's called Writer's Chair, and it's this beautiful variegated silk. So I'm so excited to try these and to find something to use them on. I think that I want to try the copper on one of the ornaments that I make for Tristan. Like, that's a small motif, and so I can share Bertucci's generosity with Tristan too. So that was really, really sweet. And then my sweet Eileen, who just, like I said, spoils me. These are the NPI silks that she shared with me for the project that we're working on together. And these are her beautiful floss drops. She did not like how they turned out, but I think they're gorgeous. This was from her daughter's wedding, and then she made me this beautiful floss drop. And then when I went to visit the last time, she sent me home for the holidays, because she had an extra copy. So this I will definitely be using to pull from to make things for Tristan. And one of the things I wanted to point out with this book is Eileen has the most incredible sewing stitching room that you can ever imagine. And I was admiring one of the pieces that was stitched, and I said, I've never seen that before. It looked like Blackbird, and it was beautiful. It was like greens and pinks, and I didn't know what chart it was from. And it's actually from this book, and it's called The Meadow. And in the book, it's in this little green box. And from the picture, it's cute. I like it. But again, it's like being at a cross stitch shop, seeing it in person. It was stunning in person. Stunning. And it was finished as a pillow, if I remember correctly, with like extra fabric on the side. And I want to say, I think it might have actually been finished by Faye. It was just beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And then she also sent me home with her extra copy of Consider the Lilies. And she has a beautiful start on this one as well. So again, seeing it in person, I've always liked this chart. It's another big one. So I kind of had, I had my big projects for the year. This one, I really want to do in the new year. After I read the inspiration page that Beth wrote, I really wanted to do this one, and I will definitely do it in DMC. I should have all the colors, but there are a few that I'm not able to find. So I'll either pick those up or I'll look through other things and see where they went. But I would definitely like to do this. And Eileen is actually doing it. She usually does 1/2 on higher counts, and she was doing this one on, I forget what count, but it was 2/2, and it was really beautiful. The plumpness of the stitches and the colors. So I know I'm going to do it in DMC. I'm not 100% sure what fabric yet, but I have some ideas of things that I already have that I'm going to see if work. And then the last thing that Eileen sent me home with, she's so sweet. This, is it Mojo Stitches or I think it's Mojo. This one is Falling Leaves and Autumn Quaker. I would do this any time of year because it has all things that I love. There's like a little deer up there, and there's leaves, and there's, I'm assuming I'm gonna call them moths. There's birds. There's little toadstools peeking out from the bottom. So I absolutely love this. And she also gave me the thread pack so we can do this together. And from my Dutch Beauty fabric purchase, I have enough to do this on Tycho, and I think Eileen has Tycho too. We were looking through her fabrics when I was there, and I think that's what we had thought looked best too from what she was looking at. It calls for Weak Tea by Jay's X Stitch is the called for fabric, but from the picture the Tycho really looks like it'll be perfect. So that's in this one. I've not made the label for, but you can see this is the bag, Eco Bags, and that's the tag that I've been putting the labels over. So that I'm excited to start too. So that was a lot. I really feel just I don't even have words for how grateful I am for people doing these things for me and reaching out to see if I'm okay. And again, I can't apologize enough for not responding in a normal way, but this is how I am sometimes. So not all the time, but sometimes. Now you know everything about me. So I have the winners from the giveaways from last time, which this brings me a lot of joy too. I do really enjoy mailing things to people. So we had, the first one was the Heartstring Samplery Tea is for Turkey, and that one is going to Cindy Lichen. I'm using my phone to record, so I don't have a picture, but it's Cindy, and last name is Likin as in Nancy. So Cindy, if you just email me and give me your address, I'll get this out to you. I know it's kind of late for Thanksgiving this year, but that way it can be ready for next year. And then the other one was the Country Cottage Needleworks November charts, and then the thread keep from Allegro Stitches. And the keyword for that one was thankful, and that is for Lynn Willow. Lin Willow. So Lynn, send me your address and I will get this out to you. And then today I would love to share, and I don't think Marilyn will mind because she's such a generous person. Since I'm finished with Penny Pumpkin, I would love to send this along to someone else. The bag is not perfect anymore. There's no writing on the chart. I did write, I'll take a picture of this before I mail it so I have it in case, but this, I do have my color conversions on the back of the chart, but otherwise it's like new. So if you are interested in Penny Pumpkin, just use the word pumpkin in your comment and I will do the YouTube random comment picker. So all the normal things, be over 18. I'm always happy to ship anything anywhere. That's not a problem. Be a subscriber, like the video, and don't use the word giveaway or anything like that. So I think that's everything. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be feeling like myself again. Thank you again, everyone, so much. And I will most likely do a separate video with a very short whip parade because I think there's, like I said, about a dozen, and kind of how I'm organizing things and my plans for next year. So I always really enjoy watching people's planning videos, and I'll make it a separate video in case that's not really your thing. But I think that is everything for now, and I hope everyone is happy and safe. And if I don't talk to you before Thanksgiving here in the States, I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and are able to be with your family, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.